the screen. I grabbed the projector. I grabbed the laptop and forgot the presentation. So we're going to play this by ear, running off of what I just happen to have, fortunately, on this computer. So bear with me as we try to cobble through this thing. And I'm depending on some folks who I know are near and dear to this same cause, Father Jim particularly, who has been involved in this effort as well. I know Chester, I think, has been involved in this to some degree. And I also think my good friend Mr. Gresham, by virtue of the relationships that we all have with the Hampton Economic Development Alliance, is also a proponent of this cause. This is a political issue, sort of. It's not really a political issue. This is talking about transportation in the 21st century. Yes, there's a political component to this thing because there's a referendum on the ballot in November where we're going to be asking the citizens of Virginia Beach to again affirm, as they did once before, because 92 of 97 voting districts all affirmed the desire to move ahead with this project back when it was originally on the ballot in 2012. But we're doing it again because there's more information. We're going to talk a little bit about that information today, so we're going to kind of play this by ear and let's roll through this thing. Virginia Beach CONNEX is let's call it the new name for what was at one point in time called Light Rail Now. It's kind of an offshoot of a couple of organizations, including Virginia Beach Vision. We're going to show you a video right now very quickly. Again, I don't do PowerPoint. In fact, I hate PowerPoint, so I may need technical assistance.
Yeah, right. I hire people.
Well said.
Leading up to the fall referendum, I think we can all agree on three things that we hate.
Politicians, taxes, and traffic. What we hate even more is the idea that our traffic and congestion is projected to increase by like 300% over the next 25 years, despite billions in planned road projects.
Traffic around here is the worst.
Definitely always late for work. My boss is like, where are you? I'm just stuck in traffic.
I've never missed work, but I have been like 30 minutes late because of traffic on the boulevard here.
I would say end of my day on the truck, at least an hour.
Guys, we can't pave our way out of this problem. If we vote yes on November 8th, not only do we get the next leg of what will one day be a much larger transportation system for the region, we also nearly double our bus service in Virginia Beach. And we get a great running, biking, and walking path right next to the tracks. We might even see some old school rollerblades out there.
It doesn't make sense to have this short distance, and if they can get it all the way to the oceanfront, I think that would be great, and they just need to connect it and keep it going.
I think it would do a lot in the way of easing traffic. That would be real nice.
In the words of the opposition, it's not just your self-entitled, know-it-all, basement-dwelling millennials who are going to benefit. Nope. All of our hard-working, civic-minded, tax-paying, voting citizens who already voted for the Light Round 2012 are going to be hooked up. This thing connects to our two major financial and entertainment centers, making it good for business and fun.
I mean, ultimately, I think it would pump more money into the economy from people from Virginia Beach going to Norfolk and people from Norfolk going to Virginia Beach.
I think it's going to open up a lot to the business area. To get customers to your spot by transit or by driving, transit's probably one of the best ways.
I think it'd be helpful for, there's like a big event to get in and out, like for example, like fireworks going to the oceanfront. It's not something that we would do unless there was a light rail going there because it just takes so long to get out of there, and as far as like kids' bedtimes, you want to just kind of get out.
I love public transportation because you can actually get things done while you're traveling. I also like public transportation with a child because I can entertain her. She thinks it's fun, and she's not stuck in a car seat for 45 minutes in traffic.
There's more. Virginia's already paying $155 million of the total cost. It's a use it or lose it situation. As for the rest of the cash, the city already has it set aside. Newtown Road, end of the line. Where do we go from here? We got nothing. But we vote yes. We get more light rail crossing into Virginia Beach. So let's get connected, people. Next steps. The airport base, the oceanfront, ODU, Green Bar, places we need to be. This is what you do. Show up on November 8th, vote yes, and you're done. Let's turn these train tracks into rail tracks. Come to our Virginia Beach CONNEX Facebook page, tweet the hashtag #VoteYes, and get on board VB. Check out some cool links, learn some new facts, and share them with your friends. But most importantly, vote yes on November 8th.
Thank you for putting up with the millennial version of the presentation on video. You'll notice that this thing really was geared towards millennials because the folks who are going to be served by this most are the young folks that are in this room. There are folks, like those of us who are a little bit older, who will get some use out of this. In fact, there's conversation in here later on. I can show you a YouTube video, which I can't get running. But I can show a YouTube video about this sort of a system of transportation in use down in Arizona. And the biggest surprise that they got in Arizona was the fact that the senior citizens were the ones that embraced it. It's a wonderfully cool thing. Now, the point that really sort of carries this further is this is multimodal transportation. We're not talking about just a train that runs on old Norfolk and Southern tracks. We're talking about a realignment of the system of getting north, south, east, and west. The purpose of this first phase is to get to the town center area, connecting the business districts of both Norfolk and Virginia. And that's really the key component because it has to start there. Next phases of this sort of follow out through, we're going to take this thing up through Norfolk and take it out possibly Ken Scott's Airport, taking it off the base, taking it, south into Suffolk and eventually down into Chesapeake. And yes, the big goal is to get it to the ocean front because that's really what makes the system work. It's got to be kind of an all or nothing scenario because if you start here, we invest the 280, whatever the number is, and I've got it in here someplace as well, but 155 million of that is being funded by the state already. That leaves 85 million that is the outside estimate. That's got a 14% contingency to be funded by the city of Virginia Beach. Now everybody sort of stands around and says, it's ancient technology, it's not going to work. The fact of the matter is that yes, it is 20th century technology used in rail transportation. But all this language that I keep hearing from the folks who are opposed to this say, we've got smart cars coming. You just said the word. It may be smart, but it's still a car. It's got to run on the road. Now, the whole point to this is that let's develop a transportation system that is multimodal. Bus transportation running north and south at intersections where this light rail goes. And you've got a system that makes other cities work. Anybody ever been on this rail line presently and running it to Norfolk, taking it to a ball game? Yeah. I took it the other day when we had our meeting over at the Barrel Room. I figured I'm gonna have a couple of pops down here at the Barrel Room, so I'm on my way back. I took the train down and the train back, and I loved it. But I've been around up in Northern Virginia, and I've been in other cities where this system is in action and it works. I don't know about any of you, but I wouldn't drive into Washington, D.C. on a bed. I second that. Just a bit. All right, I've gone off script because I don't have a script, so let's run through the rest of it. That works. Oh, no, I don't see that. Again, I'll restate. This is not about town center extension. This is about transportation for the future. This is not just a one-shot, 3.5 mile deal. John Martin, President and CEO of Southeastern Institute of Research, you can read that, but it says, the Virginia Beach does not perceive the light rail extension. It can be setting back the region and hurting Virginia Beach's regional mobility for years to come. Thank you. There are a couple of quotes in here from some other folks, most particularly the mayor, and you guys all know John Padgett, right?
Yeah.
John, who is with the Hampton Economic Development Alliance, is also quoted here later on. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. As you heard the young man saying in the presentation, congestion is a big issue. They talk about the number that is what we're going to spend to do this light rail line, but there's also this other number that you notice. 25 years, $12.8 billion worth of transportation improvement. I can tell you a good many of these are already actually on the books and funded. And for those of you that remember back when we had this sort of only source of joint work done in the greater Hampton Roads area with this commission that was designed to pick transportation projects, there's a good chunk of that work that's actually planned and getting ready to start that includes the flyover over here, connecting, running right past this hotel, by the way, we're gonna have to talk about that.
Your home's going too.
Because this is gonna be a hard place to get to for a while. But once that flyover occurs, it will serve as a connecting point and will allow for easier access off of 64 to 264. That's a part of the transportation solution. How much do you figure that thing's gonna cost? That's like 800 million, some such number, I don't remember exactly what it is, but there's a lot more of this stuff that goes back to that point that's being made. You can't pave your way out of the problem. There's not enough land to build enough highway on to do this. Light rail is the backbone of the 21st century transportation system. I believe it is. Yes, I've got a bias because I'm a real estate developer. But in full disclosure, we own one piece of property that's sort of along this line. That's not the reason why it is that we're interested in this. Our company and our team has embraced this because we recognize where this has to go for the future. Success in other cities. There are 38 other communities around the country who have active light rail projects. Some of those have done incredibly well. Some of them haven't done incredibly well. And the reason why the ones that haven't done well is that they started to embrace the technology and then they let it go. These sort of solutions require that you buy into this thing and you continue it and see it to its fruition. You can't do this, excuse me, actor, you can't half-ass something like this. You have to start down this road and see it to the end if you expect it's going to be successful. Charlotte, Denver, Phoenix, Minneapolis. There's a quote in here from down in Charlotte. This was a section of Charlotte before the light rail line went through. This is a section of Charlotte after the light rail line. This promotes economic development. In Charlotte, they saw $1.5 billion of development along the light rail. That's part of what we're hoping to close here. Downtown Norfolk. You remember what downtown Norfolk used to look like down by York Street? Take a ride down through there right now, along the line of this train track. I'm going to tell you, it's amazing. It will happen here. And of course, that's the reason. Development needs new business, more jobs, and more tax revenue. So ultimately, you're going to have all ships rising in this tide. No pun intended. But this is really kind of where this thing actually has to go. This is John Paget comment. ADP, you've heard, comes into downtown Norfolk. One of the reasons ADP gave when they were quizzed about why they selected here is that there was this transportation system downtown Norfolk. And the more we sit around and we talk, and Dick and I and some others are associated with the economic development on a regional level, and we get into these conversations and they cite a handful of reasons why all this new business goes to other places. First, Ken, I'm sorry, I got to say that the number one reason they list is because of the lack of direct flights out of the airport here. The second issue that they always list is this. Light rail creates a lifestyle. So look around at things that have happened and spurred because of that growth, and you look at how this interconnects to all those other sorts of areas. I know personally, I like getting on the train and going down to the ballpark. I know Chester does that all the time. It's just a great way to get it done. If you take your kids or your grandkids on it, they get a big rush out of it. They think it's just a really cool thing. But the point is that if you can create easier access so that you don't got to drive downtown, park your car, run around trying to figure out where you're going to get to some of these things, it makes the process easier. And it does create that sort of lifestyle. And for the young folks in the room, this is what they tell us they want. They don't want to have to get in the car. They want to ride a bicycle. Which, by the way, you can take your bicycle on the light rail. They want to ride a bicycle someplace. They want to get somewhere so they can commune with their friends and just live that sort of a lifestyle that isn't car-oriented. As you can see here, this was an example of how crowded it was in there on July the 4th. See, everybody was on that train going down to see the fireworks because they didn't want to have to drive home.
Find a place to park.
Who wants light rail?
Good young people.
Good question. Because they've quizzed all sorts of folks. Business owners, millennials, baby boomers, workforce people, and the military. The military has also embraced this rather highly. They see this as a way to get their troops, to get their forces to work in the morning instead of sitting on the highway in traffic. I know people that have gone out and bought Priuses just so they could sit in the HOV lane to get to the base.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
They bought what?
Prius,
Prius.
Oh,
or any hybrid car that allows you to use the HOV lane.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that again in the future. Future transportation system will connect our communities. And that is the number one key. You know, we talk about regionalism in the region here, and about how back in the 1960s, everything became fragmented over water. And then you look at the things that we've done, we've been standing here sort of fighting one another for, I know I fight in the city of Norfolk for tenants to move into Virginia Beach. City of Norfolk fights for everything that they can possibly get to move things into the region. But unless we develop some sense of regionalism, this community, this region, is not going to grow.
Here, here.
You know, if you look at the statistical data about the largest 10 statistical market areas that are similar in size to Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads, out of 1 to 10, is number 10. Dead last on growth, on the ability to rebound the economy of this community after everything that sort of fell apart back in 2008. Think about it for a minute. Remember what your real estate tax assessment was back before 2008, like 2005 in that region? What is it today? It hasn't come anywhere near back to where it was before. That's largely because this region isn't grown. We have to develop past the military economy. No offense to the military, but you know, this region used to be largely a little over 50% all military driven. It's not now, we're sequestered. For us to survive, we have to bring business in from the outside. This is part of that solution. And as I was telling you, the money shot, this is the money shot. This is the concept plan for where this thing needs to go. Again, this isn't 3.5 miles of track. This is spreading this thing throughout the region. That's the key focus for it. I promised you a quotation. This was from Will's State of the City. Connectivity, it's our desire. Connectivity, it's our destination. Connectivity, it's our destiny. And my friends, this is the year of connectivity. He was really talking about two things. Transportation connectivity to the other cities, and also talking about that thing that's running across the ocean over to Spain to bring us higher speed internet. But this is the point. The folks at the city level have all looked at this, and there are other folks who said, gee, Will sold his soul to get the $155 million out of the state. And yeah, to a degree he did. But you know what? I don't want to see him waste that $155 million. Because the truth of the matter is, for a number that's between $60 and $80 million, the city of Virginia Beach puts the rest of what is needed into this plan to do this. I mentioned $155 million. There it is. That's the point. Already funded.
Not only will we not get the $155 million if we go down light rail, but we'll also have to refund $20 million back to the state that was paid for the right away.
When we talk about what this is actually going to cost, 1.8 cents of the real estate tax assessment goes for debt service. It's already cooked in. You're not going to raise your taxes because the number's already in there. We get into the conversation further and talk about where it goes coming out of here. Today, 0.64%, less than 1% of the city's $1.8 billion budget goes to transportation. 3 years from now, once this thing is up and running, that number does rise a little bit. It goes from 0.64% to 0.85%. And folks say, well, geez, that's a lot of money. Yeah. And measure that against it. I'm going to argue, what is the cost of not doing it? I'm going to argue the other point, which is you can't put a value on really the tangible value of infrastructure. That's like trying to put a value on school education or any other sorts of things. It is the duty of government to make sure these things occur. And I will join everybody else that stands in this thing, because I am a very strong fiscal conservative. I wouldn't spend a nickel if I didn't have to, but I can tell you right now, I believe this has to be. I was wrong in that earlier quote. It was 92 of 95 voting precincts voted to approve this back in 2012. We're hoping that that happens again. So then we close up with the, so what can we do? Take a ride on this thing, see what it's actually like. Learn a little bit more about it if you can. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to everybody who's got an opinion about this thing, because all these opinions actually count. And believe me, I see the other side. But I think this has value. They got a bunch of social media stuff, which, because I'm not a technical nerd, I don't understand how to do all that. I need one of your guys to kind of show me how to do that.
Sure, everything is.
Let me sum it up like this. Vote for this light rail rough rating in Virginia Beach if that is your mindset. But these are the reasons why I think you need it. It's going to promote more jobs. It's going to lower the taxes overall. We're going to get a better transit system that stops sitting on the highways. I don't know about you, but I really hate driving this far. I live in the ocean front, and for me to come up here, I have to check the air and change the oil. I don't drive this far. If the light rail came from my house to here, I'd have this thing licked. Regional connections, because that's the key. We want to make this a regional system. How would you like to have your children, students at ODU living out the ocean front, get on a train and ride to ODU every day? You don't have to worry about them going down there trying to find a parking space and all the other sort of stuff that goes along with that. And then the other point, of course, is stuff. Thank you for your support.
I'm going to join my Pennsylvania buddy here.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm going to spout off. I'm getting on my soapbox. How many of you remember Jim Fletcher?
Yeah.
Dear friend of mine. He and I would go to every one of these presentations. And Jack Whitney, remember Jack? His wife was the engineer on this project. And we'd walk in and they'd always ask, do you want to talk? And I said, absolutely. And she said, well, you're number 56 or 76. I said, I don't want to talk. But we will never get another east-west thoroughfare. We have 264, we have the boulevard, and now Shore Drive is chock-a-blocked because of the multi-dwellings and more going up. And the reason for it is, if you saw that overall shot from the air, and I've gone up there many times, we have water, marshlands, and at one time we had a permit from EPA to do Donation Parkway from at the hospital, crossing over the Lynn Haven, crossing over Independence, and heading to Norfolk. And some civic league bitched too much and it was shot down. And we will never, ever get another thoroughfare. And we can't afford to build any more roads. What did it say roads? 12.8 billion to keep building roads. Our expressway out there between 64, it's never reached the engineer's prediction of people traveling on that. And if you look at it in the morning, it's sparse travel. Now when we talk about going to the military, use those center lanes, put the track right down through there. It's already a good base. And I'm telling you, we gotta go to something different. And what you've just done was a great job. Great Pennsylvania.
Don, just something to add to your presentation. I'm sure you'll be doing more of these before November the 8th. But your Rotary Club rode the tide. We had a meeting on the tide the very first day. I think Barry Lou was president when we did that. But we standing room only.
We sang.
We sang.
We did sing. Mr. Moore.
Don, the numbers quoted, does that include the 40 million that the beach has already put out to get the right-of-way?
Yes, it's 20 million, and that was Mark's comment.
That was 40 million.
No, it's 20. Mark's comment is very, very important in this, because if we don't do this, we have to pay the state back, because the state's the one who put the money out. So we have to pay the state back $20 million. Now, arguably, we still have the right of way, but the point, I think, for the whole thing is that the city of Virginia Beach was going to buy that right of way whether or not we did this project or not, because it's a good investment. Somewhere in here, unfortunately, I can't go pull it up. But I have notes from the city council meeting tonight. The city manager presented this whole thing with. And again, this number that is the outside number, the $80 million, is 14% budget increase because it's only a 30% plan. The actual folks who do this for a living, Dick Dredgers and Tom Frederick, look at these things and say, that's got too much value. But they want to leave it there because they don't want to undersell this. The truth of the matter is that number is anticipated to probably come down to about 60 by the time this thing actually gets bid out.
You said 60?
Yeah, our portion will be 60. Mr. Slaughter.
I just want to commend this presentation, but also just ask all of you to go out and vote for light rail, but not only do that, but go out and talk to your friends and your colleagues and get them to go out and vote for light rail, because there is a large uninformed or misinformed organized opposition to light rail. And let me tell you, this is the biggest turning point for the city of Virginia Beach since the Lake Gaston Water Project. If we don't develop a multimodal transportation system, starting with light rail, Virginia Beach is going to die a slow death. Millennials won't move here, businesses won't come here, and we will turn in just into a sprawling suburb with strip shopping centers. We have light rail, there will be strategic growth centers that develop, that will raise the tax rate, help offset the cost, and businesses will come and we'll turn this around and we'll start thriving. If we don't do it, we're going to die. So it's very important.
Don, I'd like to put a different context. I work for the city, as some of you know, and I'm proud to work for the city, I really am. I just want you to share that light rail is not the only big item within the budget. One of the things I'm very proud of this city, working together with the image of Norfolk, was to combat homelessness, which is a big issue. Next week, next Thursday, we're going to be breaking ground on a housing resource center right there at Wichita and Southern, which is a big move, and the city has paid for that, the whole project. It's going to be more of a campus to really look after the total needs of our population. It's going to be, we're going to be able for the first time to take in families, not just single person homeless. So I want you to know that there's a lot of things going on in the city. This is not the only budget item that the city has made a commitment to. Thank you.
Joe.
Hesitate to say anything. Before your presentation, you didn't have my vote. You have it now, but I have two comments, which I think are misleading. And one was in relationship to the precincts and the vote in the referendum a couple of years ago. And correct me if I'm wrong, that referendum was to yay or nay on doing a study for the light rail. They didn't approve it.
No.
That didn't say it, twice it didn't say it, and you didn't say it verbally.
No, you're
That's
right.
one problem. Don't mislead, you don't need to, don't mislead your listeners. The other thing is, which I get hung up on, state giving us money or whatever. The state is not giving us money, they're returning our taxes.
Yes, sir.
And that's another thing. And so if I'm looking for a stretching for a no vote, I'm looking at those things. The rest of your argument is 100% solid. Get rid of the misleading, non-four-way test aspects of your argument.
I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I hadn't even thought about that. You're right. The referendum back in 2012 was to do the study. And this actually needs to actually correctly state that. I will tell you that I don't have pride in authorship of this. But it is absolutely the case. But back in then, it was really about study to advance it. And this is what brings us to the place we're at today.
Don, I have one quick question because I know Murray's getting ready to shut us down. Is it any truth to the rumor that they may extend this to Edenton, North Carolina?
Yeah, but I think it jumps onto a horse cart.
Well, to kind of follow up on Joe and everybody else, but what groups are opposed to this, and what are their reasonings for opposing it?
Money.
I don't actually have a good definition for that. I know John Atkins is opposed to it. He's got a bunch of folks who are very much, don't want to spend the money.
But there's a group that are against everything when it comes to government or spending tax money. They were against the amphitheater, they were against the 31st Street development, hotel and park, they were against
The
town
tax in
center.
2002, Mark.
They were against,
Projects.
like I said, town center. They've been against everything, and all of these projects have turned out to be very successful for the city of Virginia Beach.
Is it just a matter of taxes and spending, or is it?
That's all I can tell.
That's the
Taxes,
summary.
spending, and government, and they're against anything like that.
I just got one more, Kate.
Yes, so quick question. So I grew up in DC, riding Orange Line from Vienna into DC all the time. And I love light rail because I know what it does for a congested area. But my concern is look at the crumbling system because the bureaucracy that replaced the people that put it in place did not maintain it.
Yeah.
So I'm totally cool with voting for it because I will benefit from it and so will my children. But I need to know what your plan is to maintain it properly.
And that's a very good point. City, well, the other argument, actually, the folks who sort of argue against this goes back to, geez, you told us it was going to go out to Dulles Airport and all those other sorts of things that were supposed to occur. And like you, I mean, I lived up there 20 years ago. We loved taking the train.
Yeah.
And the Orange Line train was brand new back in those days, and it was just cool. But it has deteriorated because they're not putting money into maintaining this thing. But I don't understand why, actually, because there's enough ridership on the bloody thing to pay for.
And the areas we're paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have other things, then you can talk to Dawn.
Yeah, please talk.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.